The confidential credit reports that big private companies keep on millions of Australians is meant to be our most safely guarded financial information. But tonight, 7:30 can reveal that cyber criminals have found a way to steal people's identities by harvesting data from Australia's biggest credit reporting agency, Veda Advantage. The most disturbing part is there's no sign of hacking or high-tech trickery involved. The criminals are simply exploiting a gap in the system that lets anybody access credit reports using false identification, including fake driver's licences and Medicare numbers. As Pat McGrath reports, a company owned by one of Western Australia's most highest-profile businessmen has been inadvertently caught up in this fraud scandal.
In Perth, for decades now, there's been no bigger name in the car business than John Hughes.
I'm John Hughes. I'm John Hughes. I'm John Hughes. Is it true I'm selling the new Volkswagen Tig 1.1?
Among his fleet of successful businesses, he owns a finance arm.
Wherever you are, we can help. Online, in person, or on the phone. At Yes Loans,
Yes Loans lends to John Hughes' car buyers. In fact, car finance is an issue that he's long had an interest in.
If there are people out there with defaults or maybe bankruptcies or whatever, they're finding it virtually impossible at the moment to get finance, whereas we had some chance a few months back.
Yes Loans runs a website called freecreditreport.com.au. John Hughes wouldn't do an interview with 7:30 today, and there's no suggestion that he or anyone in his company has done the wrong thing. But he did say the website was set up by Yes Loans to target car buyers with offers of loans. The lure is a free copy of their credit file. But it's also inadvertently opened up a portal for cyber criminals to steal Australians' confidential financial information held with the credit reporting giant Veda Advantage. One of the victims of this surprisingly simple scam lives on the other side of the country, in the suburbs of Sydney. Jenny, who has asked us not to use her surname for reasons that are about to become clear, had never heard of Veda and didn't even know she had a credit file until last month.
I had no idea they existed. No idea. And no idea they had so much information on you.
A few weeks ago, she got an email from Telstra telling her her new iPhone was connected.
So I realised there was an error there because I'm, one, not with Telstra, and two, I didn't order an iPhone.
After calling Telstra, she realised that somebody had used her identity to get the phone. So she ordered a copy of her credit report. Among the pages of detail about her financial history was a perplexing entry. Yes Loans had requested a copy of the credit report just days before the fraudulent phone application was made.
So I rang them. I spoke to a man and he told me that someone had gone on to freecreditreport.com.au.
Whoever accessed the file already had some of Jenny's personal details when they applied for the credit history. As for the other ID points the website required, the criminals simply made them up.
They had the incorrect Medicare card, incorrect driver's licence, incorrect email, incorrect phone number, yet they were still given my credit report with all my private details in it. It was too easy.
Now Jenny is wondering if or when the identity thieves will strike again.
It's quite emotional to have your identity taken away from you. And when you find out that the very people that you're supposed to trust and protect all your private details have done this, and so easily and without any consideration, yeah, I'm amazed.
Every year we have 250,000 people request access to their credit report, and that's something that then means we have to balance between the right of access and security of people's credit files. So we take that very seriously. In this instance, from the information that's been put to us, it does appear that there could be criminal activity, and that is of course a concern.
Jenny reported the theft to Australia's anti-cybercrime authority, ACORN, but it couldn't put a freeze on the criminal's fraudulent use of her IDs. So she found her way to a paddock on the Sunshine Coast, the home of ID Care, an industry and government-funded support service, staffed mostly by volunteers, that receives hundreds of calls for help every month. You have to describe it as a fairly modest nerve centre for such a important organisation, would you say?
Yeah, it's can get a bit cool in winter and a bit warm in summer, but we've got air conditioning, so we're okay.
ID Care's Managing Director, David Lacey, has seen cases like Jenny's before.
In those cases, the third party has not done the due diligence required, and I'm assuming the credit reporting agency has accepted that it has been.
Yes Loans has told 730 that even though it believes Jenny's identity was stolen before the criminals came to its website, it has tightened its ID requirements since Jenny's experience. But it also admitted it's getting several cases like this every year.
Can you tell me a bit about what's happened to you today?
Every day at ID Care's call centre, counsellors speak to people who've discovered information that shouldn't be on their credit files, entries that are there because of identity fraud.
They're always worried because there's that great big unknown. You don't know what's going to happen.
When your identity is stolen, you're entitled to an immediate freeze on your credit report, but instead, Veda often presents victims with a sales pitch.
Often when people contact the credit reporting agencies, they are led to believe that paid services are the way to go.
People have a right to a ban on their credit file, and that is something that, as I said, record numbers of Australians are now accessing. If they wish to have additional levels of protection, then that is a service that we offer.
Now, David Lacey has written to Veda and its rivals, offering to meet with them and discuss how they treat the victims of identity fraud.
They do play an important role, there's no question about that. It's a critical role in terms of identity theft response, and it's our responsibility to help others improve.
I think people can be assured that it is safe with Veda. What we would be saying is that it is a partnership between the community, with ourselves, in an online world to better safeguard their information.
Veda has put a temporary block on Jenny's credit file, which makes it hard for criminals to get approval for more credit in her name. But the block can't stay in place indefinitely, so she's had no choice but to sign up for Veda's $80 per year alert service, which tells her every time somebody makes a credit application using her identity.
Now, to protect myself, I'm going to have to pay them for the rest of my life. I've built up who I am over all of these years. I can't go back and change it. It will be forever out there. It will be something I will live with.
Pat McGrath reporting.